The first tenet of mindset with regard to personal finance is accumulation precedes investment. There's an old story where a person prays to the Almighty every day, saying, God, please give me a break. I'd like to win $1 million in a lottery. And after persistently praying for a number of days, he heard this voice of the Almighty saying, my dear son, I will help you win the lottery, but help me by at least buying a lottery ticket to start with. Apart from the humor, there is something philosophical. You have to begin saving and accumulating money before you can think of, should I invest in equity or gold or silver and so on. And therefore, accumulation is important. And there are two mindsets to it. Let's for a minute transport ourselves to 40 years ago. Let's look at our grandparents, our grandfather and mother. They were either teachers or principal of a school, or they worked for the government in the post and telegraph department or with a bank. Their mindset was income minus saving equals expenses. In other words, they realized that their income was limited, although steady over 20, 30 years. And therefore, the saving has to be fixed to take care of their retirement, to marry their children, to educate their children, and so on. And therefore, what they would spend would depend on how much they needed to save. Saving would become a constant, and therefore expenses would be after saving. Come back to the present, obviously opportunities are better. People earn much more, the economies are booming, and therefore the whole mindset is income minus expenses equals saving. I'm not for a moment saying one is right and the other is wrong. But if you want to have consistent accumulation so that you can invest it profitably, you must sort of move towards the mindset of income minus saving equals expenses, which means regardless of what you earn, your expenses should come after making sure a certain amount of money, maybe 20% of your income earnings or 30% of your earnings goes into saving, and therefore what is left behind as residue becomes your expense. Of course, allowing for some variation. And I have found that this balance is rarely, you rarely find such a balance with people. So there are really two types of people when it comes to accumulation of money. The first one are all about the present. And you often hear them say that I live for today and not for tomorrow. Or he's there, referring to the superpower, and say he will take care of me in the future. I'm just going to spend and do what I want to do today. This is one extreme. But mind you, I've seen the other extreme as well. I've seen people say, you know what, I studied in an inner city school, in a government school, and did well. So my children can also go to an inner city school. Or I have Discovery Channel and National Geographic at home. Why should I take my children for a vacation? They can learn all about African continent and the wild animals and the volcanoes by watching the TV. Or saying that, you know, we will always buy only seconds. We'll wait for the second sale and buy our apparel for our children and for the family. Now, neither is good. Both represents extreme cases. And therefore, accumulation means sort of gravitating towards saying that I will look at a saving of from X to Y% from my earnings, and only the rest will be expenses. This is the first tenet.
Thank you for watching. If you want to dive deeper into this topic and stay updated on our latest content, be sure to subscribe now. And if you found this video helpful, don't hesitate to share it with someone you know. Let's spread the knowledge and the fun together.